everyone, and welcome to World's Finest. We are your hosts for the evening. Welcome. My name is Lee. You guys know LT. LT, how are you, sir?
I'm doing well, brother. I'm excited for this show, man. It's dedicated to a really good movie that just came out on HBO Max.
Yeah, man. It's
So,
gonna we got a great show in store for you guys. We are, as LT just said, we're gonna talk about Suicide Squad that just released on Friday, man. Got fantastic reviews. Great movie. I think we both really enjoyed it. Why don't we just dive into it, man? Tell us what you thought.
right off the bat, I mean, what first we should really acknowledge that this is going to be full of spoilers. So,
Oh yes, indeed. Yeah.
sorry if you haven't seen it, come back later and watch us again, but right off the bats, if the first 5 minutes you see more than half the crew die, and you're like, what? Right there it shows you, oh my God, this there was no holds barred. I mean, when I saw Captain Boomerang die, I'm like, what? I was hoping
I
this was
know.
like someone's vision,
Right,
someone
exactly.
was,
They'd
but
all wake up and be in a dream. They still haven't gone on a
yeah,
mission yet.
no,
You know what I
but
mean, or something like that.
the whole feel of the movie, the action, the comedy, the so-called warmth between them all, they really kind of care for each other towards the end. Um the uh the surprise, hit of the show was, of course, I think, King Shark. Everyone just fell in love with him. uh I thought it was a great movie. I mean, 100% better than the first one.
Right,
Granted, the first one, that's still out for debate because we haven't really seen the real movie that
right. The air
David
cut.
Ayer, the Air
Yeah.
Cut, made. We can reserve or hold our judgment on that. But I mean, from what we saw compared to this one, yeah, it was not good. But this one was 100% better in my book. I don't know. Well, what did you feel?
I thought it was great as well. I really enjoyed it, man. It was a lot of fun. I wouldn't say that I was surprised about the team getting killed right up front because there was just so many members, and that was already the rumors that was going to happen. So I mean, I think as early as it went down, yes, I thought we get to see them like on an actual mission, and then they all fell. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
At one point, that team did. So I was definitely surprised that as soon as they landed, and then Pete Davidson's character Blackguard hopped up. It was like, "Hey guys!" And even then, I still thought that he was tricking them and lulling them into whatever power he was going to do. And
Yeah. Yeah.
so you know what I mean. I really didn't think that he had given everybody a heads up that they were on their way. That he was basically setting the team up. So I was kind of shocked by that. But even during the horrific death scenes of so many people, there was lots of moments of humor that came out of there. They're like, "All right, TDK, go to work," and he was like, and then the arms just floated over there, and I was like, "Oh, what's gonna happen?" And they just said, "Slap, slap, 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 slap." They were just became a minor annoyance to those people. So that was funny. And they're like, "TDK, oh, the detachable
The
kid. That's what it
detachable
means."
kid.
Yeah. So I mean, and it was cool to see all these people that James Gunn had worked with in the past. Obviously Michael Rooker, who played Savant.
Savant.
You're kind of following his. You think you're going to follow him because he's the
Yeah.
first guy we see. You know what I mean? And we're seeing the whole going through his eyes, so to speak. You know what I mean? Through Savant's eyes. So it was funny to see Michael Rooker there. They worked together previously. Nathan Fillion, who is a big genre. Everybody's big fan in the genre, from Firefly and Serenity and all of that and stuff. And people have been crying out for him to be Hal Jordan for years,
Oh, yeah.
so they kind of see him finally in the DC world. But as STDK was kind of funny. We know he's voiced Hal Jordan in some of the animated stuff before,
Yeah.
actually, also. So no, it's funny to see his staples. We got Sean Gunn there who
The
played,
weasel.
yeah, he played the Weasel, but he also played Calendar Man,
Yeah,
the
that's right.
human guy, Sean Gunn there in the very beginning when they were going through. No, I thought it was really good. It was a little, it was gory, I think. And if anybody knows Sean Gunn's, not Sean Gunn, I'm sorry, James Gunn's work from
Yeah.
previously, you know what I mean? Before he kind of went mainstream with the Guardians of the Galaxy movies, he's from the Troma world, which is like what is it? Oh my gosh, why can't I think of the Toxic Avenger?
Oh,
The Toxic Avenger movies and all those kind of stuff that were made cheap on the dime but have a huge cult following. He came from that world, and those movies are really just kind of deranged, and graphic and gory. But if you've seen any of Sean Gunn's work, or I keep saying Sean Gunn, James' work before, he did Super, movie called Super with Rainn Wilson.
oh yeah, I
Um,
love that movie.
yeah,
That was a really good movie.
yeah,
That
he
was
was in.
and that was gory too. Yeah.
It was very gory. Had Kevin Bacon in it. And what was the girl's name who was in there who played a sidekick? She
Uh,
was in the Umbrella Academy.
it
She
was
was
Elliot Page, or it was now it's Elliot Page. It's
yes, Ellen Page at the time. Now
yeah.
she is
She
Elliot.
got her face blown off just like
Yeah,
Davidson's
yeah,
character.
B. Davidson's character there. So I say all of that to say that if you've seen any of his work in the past, then and he did Slither with both Nathan Fillion and Michael Rooker, which is
Right.
pretty crazy and gory sci-fi slash comedy, that he did in the past. So if you've seen any of that work besides Guardians of the Galaxy, of course, shouldn't have been surprising, but it was there. I loved it. I thought it was funny. I like how these guys were. You think Peacemaker, and we can get into all the characters later, but Peacemaker and Bloodsport, talking about Peacemaker obviously is John Cena's character. Bloodsport is Idris Elba's character, and that kind of piss and match that they had
Yeah.
between them when they were going through the camp, and then they're killing all the people in the camp. Come to find out, they're killing all the good
It was
guys.
a good guy. It's part of the resistance.
Oh yes, but man, I did love it. I will say I wasn't familiar with a lot of the bad guys. I've heard of them all, actually, except for Peacemaker. I've heard of him since the movie's been coming out. I'm talking about the main B Squad,
Oh,
Suicide Squad
yeah.
team now. Bloodsport, I don't know. I kind of recall him from back in the day, not really, though. King Shark, I definitely know. Polka Dot Man, I'd heard of as well, but maybe
Yeah,
in
that was
joking
it's one of those
ways.
B-list
Yeah,
Batman rogues,
yep. But,
up there
but,
with
but
like
Peacemaker,
Kite Man and Condiment Man, Polka
exact
Dot
Condiment
Man.
King.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So no, I thought everybody did a great job. It was funny. The acting was fantastic. And I love seeing Star the Conqueror brought to life. It goes to show that the more fantastical pieces of the DC universe you can make it work.
Right,
You know
right.
what I mean? And make it work in a good way. I felt bad for Starro at the end a little bit. I mean, you know what I mean? Couldn't find, he was just like, I was happy floating in the stars, happy
Right.
floating, looking at the stars. And, because he was just minding his own business and he basically got kidnapped by the U.S.
By
government
the
that
government, yeah.
experimented on him for 30 years. You know what I mean? And so it's just like, I hated to see Colonel Rick Flag go down the way he did.
I caught well, that kind of made me mad because I mean he was a really good leader.
Yeah,
He was so much better and character wise in this and part two. Well, not part two, but in this movie versus the
yeah.
first one. They really utilized him as a leader position, and when he died, I'm like, what? And I mean, there's like no coming back. They even showed the graphic of his heart getting pierced.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, he ain't coming back.
Part of me was hoping there at the end credit scene when they showed at the end, part of me was hoping it wasn't going to be Rick Flag there laying in the bed and not
Yeah. Well, I
uh,
mean,
Peacemaker. Before they showed us, you know what I'm saying?
yeah.
Before I was like, oh man, please let it be him. Because that one really did hurt me a little bit.
Yeah. No, I agree. When I mean, on top of that, and then seeing, right off the bat, we saw, Captain Boomerang die.
Yeah.
And he was. I liked him in part one. He was kind of like my favorite, because he was the comedic relief of the part one, and then he just goes in and then dies. What?
Yeah.
I mean, we see who else dies off real quick? Javelin.
Yep.
What was his name?
Well, Javelin, TDK, Weasel,
Oh.
or so you think,
Yeah.
That was funny because they're all jumping off the plane in such a badass way. And then Weasel's like, just says,
Did anyone check to see if he could swim?
Yeah, dude, that was good, man.
Savant died. What's her name? The Mongol or something.
Which is shocking to me that she died because she's gone toe to toe with Superman.
Yeah.
At times, and so for her to die that quickly, and by just a helicopter crash, I didn't understand that one so much.
Yeah, she just went out and yeah. So But I mean, it is what it is. I mean, we don't know. I like the whole premise of James Gunn going, back a few minutes, his storyline, to show both narratives at the same time, with
Yeah.
those little side notes saying, oh, meanwhile, or
Hmm.
8 minutes later or whatever,
Yeah.
and then we find out there was a second team. That first team was just a diversion.
Which
So,
I will say was a good movie, but some of those things didn't make a lot of sense to me because I'm like, you know, why
well, I
would she
mean,
just throw her whole team away like that? It should have been a different, could
we
have been a
saw
different type of
her
instruction.
going, just going button crazy. It's like she was going to go button crazy, just start popping heads. And then, to the point where she was threatening uh
Bloodsport's daughter.
Bloodsport's daughter, and then it got to the point where her little cronies, like, wow, this chick's messed up, and they took,
I know, but she,
action to.
I know. I just didn't see how she was throwing Flag and Harley. I mean, all these operatives for just simple distraction getting killed.
Yeah,
You
well,
know what
yeah.
I mean? I just didn't know. And did she set up? And a lot of other questions too. Did she know though? Maybe they weren't supposed to get killed that way. Did she know that Pete Davidson's character Blackguard had tipped them off? And how did he tip them off from Bel Rev?
I know, right?
Just all kinds of weird little things. Again, great movie. I loved it. But if you really think too deep about some of these movies, you can always pull those threads. You know. But no, I thought it was great. I guess I will say that even with the first Suicide Squad, I will say that even though I loved it, it follows a lot of the same beats, I feel like, as the first Suicide Squad. I mean, I guess you can't really go too much without, I mean, it's kind of the same story in a way,
Yeah,
in a roundabout way. You know what I mean? It is just told differently, I guess, or what have you. Or maybe Air's version would have been that well, been that way as well. But I guess what I'm saying is it is hard for me, even with the first Suicide Squad, I was like, there's none of these characters that I'm like, I'm not a huge Deadshot fan. You know what I mean? Harley
right.
Quinn, yes, I guess, but I was never a huge Suicide Squad reader. Also, I know it was a popular comic book, but I guess I wasn't that. I wasn't that guy. You know what I mean? So it wasn't like I had a lot of love for these characters. Um,
Right.
you know what I mean? So I think that, and especially, and then, but I knew those characters, and then we came to the second movie, and yeah, we've got Rick Flag, Harley Quinn, and Boomerang. Of course, that happens to him. But some of these characters are even more obscure
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
than the first team. So even though I'm enjoying a DC film, you know what I mean? It's not. I enjoyed it. I loved it. It's just not the same for me as watching a movie with like Titans or characters I'm familiar with and
True.
love. Does that make sense to you? What I
Oh, no,
mean?
no, yeah. Like the first Suicide Squad, maybe 2/3 of the Suicide Squad were all Batman rogues, and somehow,
Yeah,
we're talking about like Deadshot,
Killer Croc,
Harley Quinn, Killer Croc, Boomerang is a Flash
Flash,
rogue. Who else do they have? Shoot, Slipknot
Slipknot.
died in
Yeah,
2 seconds.
the Enchantress.
Yeah, Enchantress. But I
Who
mean, and
was it?
then of course we had the Joker mixed in, so it was a lot of Batman villains. This one, the new one, had just villains from everywhere. It wasn't just Batman centric.
Right. Oh yeah, yeah. And I
So
applaud them for that.
I think that for me was the difference, because I mean I enjoyed part one only because I knew the characters.
right.
This one, to go in brand new with a whole list of people I don't know, minus King Shark, Boomerang, Flag, and Harley. I didn't know a lot of those other characters. I mean, I like you. I didn't know much about Bloodsport or Peacemaker.
Yeah,
I didn't know anything about Javelin.
yeah.
Black Guardian, Weasel. Maybe I heard of Weasel.
Right.
Savant. I didn't know any of those people.
No, dude, these were
So,
all
and
C-list
then
heroes
and
or
then I mean, of
C-list
course,
villains.
yeah, of course we had Ratcatcher 2. We knew about we I knew about Ratcatcher 1, but this to follow the second squad, seeing the second squad mature, I mean, like, come together, it was the driving force, I think, behind the movie. Because I don't, like you said, there was so many characters. I don't think so many characters right off the bat would have given us a heartfelt story. It would have been too many people,
Right.
you know, bitching and moaning, or pissing contests like Peacemaker
Yeah.
and Deadshot. I mean Deadshot, uh
Bloodsport.
Bloodsport. So I think trimming the fat right off the bat was an excellent way. It was more of a shocking shock
Hmm.
value to see everyone, because I mean they touted this roster for a long time before the movie. They were showing you who was who, and
Yeah.
showing us like 15 characters. Like, wow, this is gonna be a big movie, only to find out, you know, what, 2/3 of them died in the first 5 minutes. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
so
It, it was even kind of cool to see Taika, the
as
director of
Ratcatcher,
Thor, as Ratcatcher. Yeah, he was kind of, kind of cool to see them making cross pollination.
right?
Seeing him, the director of Thor, and also the newest Thor being in the movie, and then of course introduces Heimdall, and then James Gunn. So I just like to see that Marvel and DC can work together. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah. I mean, well, there was also that little blink and you miss it cameo
Yep.
of what
Mantis.
Mantis,
Yeah, she was
in that
dancing.
strip club, or what was it? It was the bar.
Yeah.
And yeah, and I think, yeah, like you said, DC and Marvel can work together in those, as far as directors,
Yeah, exactly.
so
Now, and I did like, so let's talk about King Shark. I've seen him. This is not the first time we've seen him, or at least
oh yeah,
DC fans have seen him in live action. He was introduced in the Flash. In the Flash, he was much of a bigger. He was huge in the
yeah, he was a
Flash.
big muscular, yeah,
I mean, like almost like a not as huge as a kaiju, but pretty bigger than he was
at
displayed in
least 10 feet or
as
something or
yeah.
more.
Yeah, he was huge in that. So it was kind of cool to see that. I think Stallone did a fantastic job playing King Shark.
Stallone, that was awesome.
Sylvester Stallone. For you guys who didn't know and who couldn't know if they watched the movie, his voice is pretty indistinctable. It was good. He did a great job, I think.
Yeah, no, him
And the
and he, the different iterations of him in the comic too. I think the him making him a big old, uh, you know, not fat guy. It's big old, a big, rather than a muscular looking shark, making him somewhat dim-witted, if we will, or
yeah,
slow. But that just lent to the behind the scenes heart that he really had. He wanted friends, basically,
yep,
so.
yeah,
And after he tried to eat Ratcatcher, and that whole little moment between them, and said, don't you have friends, and would you eat friends, and
yeah,
right there, he was going to be a team player the rest of the movie, even
yeah,
when he made a little Peacemaker doll out of C4.
yep. That was funny. He was in Peacemaker. Was like, you know what? That's really nice. Okay, he's like, that is really nice. But no, So I think talk about the other guy, the Thinker, who'd also been first in
Also
live action on the
on the
Flash. He
Flash,
was one
yeah,
of those
yeah.
season long villains. I thought that guy was interesting. He did a good job too. Peter Garibaldi, I think his name is.
From
Him.
Doctor Who
Yeah.
fame.
Yes. Yes. Thank you. So he did it. I thought he did that really well done. Ratcatcher is phenomenal. The girl who played her, she's a really unknown actress, and I think this is going to propel her to
No, yeah, I
big
think,
things.
after that, she garnered a lot of attention as far as her as an actress. So I think we're going to see a lot more of her. You
Hmm.
know,
Now we've been raving about how good it was, and it really was, guys. When it very first came out, it was at 100% on Rotten Tomatoes. I think it's fallen since like maybe when it came up 2 weeks ago when the review embargo was lifted. 41 reviews at 100%. It's now down at 92, 94. The highest rated movie of James Gunn's career, and I think the highest rated movie. Maybe I'm wrong about this, but in the DC extended universe, I know that's not what they call it anymore, but
right.
that's kind of fans still call it. All that being said, man, the movie didn't do so hot this weekend.
Well, that's just because of COVID. That's just the
I
theater.
would I would like to. I'm hoping that's what it is, man. I'm hoping that's what it is.
There's still not people in seats. You know, you've got the diehard movie freaks that need to be in the theater. You know, I've got some friends that go to the theater. You know, and we're at the theater when COVID or the whole, you know, theater opened. What? How many months ago already? Yeah. Well, you know, they've been to the theater. They go to the theater every week, and they're always telling me they're maybe, if not the only persons in the theater, minus say another couple of other couples. It's never packed. There's never people in there.
Right.
So that, with how many people have HBO Max at home, and it being part of the subscription, unlike Disney Plus, where you have to pay an extra $30,
Right.
you know, people stayed home to watch it.
Well, I'm hoping, but even though the HBO numbers were released today and it still came in as only the number two most watched film, which the first most watched film for HBO Max is Mortal Kombat.
Right.
That is number one most watched. This very first one happening, Wonder Woman was, and then King Kong versus Godzilla beat that, and then Mortal Kombat beat that, and then now it still holds the crown. But I guess what I'm trying to say is, I think that as much as I love DC, and I've kind of hinted at this earlier, I didn't really care about, except for Harley, of course. But I mean, this is almost, if you look at it, this is almost the third round of Harley that we've gotten, which is great. Don't get me wrong. I liked, again, this is a better movie, but I did enjoy the first Suicide Squad for what it was. I'd like to see Air's cut for sure. I enjoyed Harley Quinn and the Birds of Prey. I did, and then I enjoyed this movie, but they've all overwhelmingly, well, Harley Quinn didn't do great in box office. And the Birds of Prey, you know what I mean?
Well,
that didn't do well. This didn't do well. You didn't like that movie, huh?
That movie sucked. I hated it. I mean, only because I was going in excited because Birds of Prey is a spin-off type of Batman family.
Yeah.
And it had nothing to do with anything of any of the storyline. And
I know
the purist in me just she made that film by herself, but then again, she's not supposed to even be part of any part
of that
of Birds of Prey. It should have been just her movie or their movie.
Well, you know what?
Why they put them together, I don't know. And
no, you're absolutely right. I agree with you 100% on that. And I also think that it sucks that they didn't really use her. Like Black Canary used her powers once and then passed out. They weren't. I did like the people they chose to be the. I can't say I would like to see the actresses live on. I just feel like I don't know if we'll get a sequel to Suicide Squad now. You know what I mean? Just based on numbers.
Of this,
I know we're getting the Peacemaker spinoff, which is what was set up with John Cena there at the end. And I think those two people that were in the movie, the blonde girl and the bigger guy there, I think they'll be his handlers, so to speak.
Right.
The Peacemaker. Yeah, you know what I'm saying, throughout the spinoff, which debuts in January on HBO Max, if I'm not mistaken. But I just feel like there's a number of factors, and I'm hoping that and that's crazy as it sounds, because I don't hope anything good about COVID, but I do hope it was the COVID numbers and not that the fandom wasn't there to support this movie. You know what I mean? And because it is, I think this was going to be, everybody was looking at this as the way to turn, DC was turning some things around.
Right.
And then for the numbers to come out like they were, and they spent $185 million on this film, and that's before the marketing dollars, which is estimated to spend another $100 million. So we're looking at trying to recoup $285 million, and it opens up domestically $46 million over the weekend.
That again, I believe is COVID, because all these movies have that same problem. They did not meet the numbers, that were expected because they weren't at the theaters,
Right.
That happened with Black Widow, it opened to huge, and then the next week, boom,
plummeted. Yes.
Gone.
Now, do you think though that, and same with Harley Quinn, we'll talk about that. These were both rated R films.
Right.
Harley Quinn to me didn't need to be based on what was in it, there wasn't really anything that required a rated R rating. And I think that hurt its box office. Now, keep in mind, as you're saying about the pandemic, this also opened up like 2 to 3 weeks before the pandemic started, Harley Quinn and the Birds of
Right.
Prey. So with all of its faults, I think the pandemic probably felt hurt into that, maybe a little bit, you know what I mean? But my question to you is, do you think the R rating hurt that? And do you think, yes, it was fun to be able to do rated R and to drop the F bombs as much as they did and all of that stuff. But if you take out the gore, a lot of the gore didn't really add anything to the movie, and you didn't need to hear the F bombs that much. Do you think? My question is, do you think that we needed to have these movies rated R?
We're talking about
I
the
think that
new,
would have opened the box, the new one and Harley Quinn. Do you think this has hurt the box office in any way for any of these movies? Because kids love Harley Quinn. She's looked at as the fourth pillar of DC in a lot of
oh, yeah,
ways.
yeah.
The first three being Wonder Woman, Superman, and Batman. She's looked at as that fourth pillar. You know, but based on the feedback that we're getting here in the box office, I don't know. I guess I'll just leave it at that. Do you think we needed to be rated R?
I want to say yes, only because that's where my mentality level is.
Right.
I like, gore, and I like violence, and I like, raunchy humor. That's just the dumb kid in me. Um, it could have been a PG-13 like the first Suicide Squad, but then there would have been limited to a lot of stuff, I believe. I mean, I think the nature of Suicide Squad is that they are expendable. They are going in expected to die, So I think by using that rated R, gore factor part, well, there was like no holds barred, and that's what James Gunn did. He just was killing people left and right.
Yeah.
So I think I want to say yes, if I can put my little boy aside, my my mentality level. Uh, I say yes, it needed to be.
Okay. But do you think that hurt the box office?
No, oh no. I mean,
You don't think so?
no. I mean, then again, we live in a time where the kids are they're already what's the word? God, I'm trying to sound smart. Like they're already used to it. They already know. They're desensitized,
Right.
as far as certain aspects of that. I mean, we're now in a PC world where, we got the Me Too movement. We got, the whole, gay movement and stuff like that, which is all well and good. But beyond that, the kids are, I think they're desensitized to violence and, and bad words.
Right.
On top of that, even if they were underage and they couldn't go to the theater, even if there was no COVID, they can get it online. It's still going to be seen.
Well,
So I don't.
I understand
Yeah,
all
I
of
don't.
that. You're
I
saying
don't.
though, all that bites into the box office stuff.
Yeah, yeah, but I don't. I don't think.
So
I don't
everything you
think.
just said about getting it online and all of that
Yeah, I don't
stuff.
think rated R has anything to do with it. I
Okay.
um.
Maybe
I
you're right. I
think.
mean,
I think it helped it.
okay. Yeah, and again, there's no right or wrong answer. I mean, Deadpool and Joker and all those guys did really well, obviously, with the rated
Oh
R
yeah,
rating.
yeah. I totally forgot about those two. But
Excuse
I
me.
think Suicide Squad one, or the first one, should have been a little bit more violent than it was.
Right.
It was still too comic booky. I don't know, or well, no, this one was actually a lot comic booky because of
Yeah, I
the
was gonna say,
yeah.
yeah.
It was a little, I was, I guess, too more serious, a little bit more serious. I mean,
Right.
then again, like we're still talking on what we saw. We don't know
What the
what the
haircut
haircut
is.
is. We don't
Right.
know. There's supposed to be a lot of Joker, right? Included.
Yeah.
There's a lot of Joker cut.
Yeah.
In
True
fact, I
story.
think, yeah, in fact, I think he was the main villain, wasn't he? Supposed to be the main villain?
Something like that. I guess. I
Not
don't know.
Enchantress. I
He was
don't.
no, no, I don't think it was the main villain. I think the Enchantress was, but he was just more in it, just trying to mess with them and get with them, and get the Harley back. He definitely
Right.
had more screen time as opposed to the 10 minutes that he sprinkled throughout. This one I think is all we gave him really. Um, so I guess, what did you think about Idris Elba as Bloodsport? The reason I ask is because the big rumor was he was originally hired on to replace Will Smith as
Deadshot.
Deadshot. Because Will Smith, they wanted Will Smith back, but they couldn't get him due to his schedule, and they had to film by a certain time due to him going back to Guardians and all of this stuff. So they went with Idris and then made him a Bloodsport. I guess my question is, what did you think? Did you think it was a good replacement? Would you like to see Will Smith back as Deadpool, or what?
It was I was a good replacement. Would I have liked to have seen Will Smith? Yes, because I'm a Will Smith fan.
Right.
But I think Idris Elba is an excellent actor, and he stepped up to the plate. Maybe they could have given him another persona. I mean, I was hoping maybe like Bronze Tiger,
Yeah.
you
Because he
know,
was
but this was almost a clone of Deadshot, from the daughter
much.
to his marksmanship and everything. It was just like, wait, what? There's
Yeah.
two of these type characters. I mean,
Yep.
granted, the universe is big, or DC wise, but it was just too much of a coincidence. I mean, did I
You're
like it?
right.
Yes, it was awesome. He did a
Yeah.
great job, and he turned out to be the leader.
Like she said, Waller said she's going to turn him into a leader.
Yeah, yeah.
You
So
know.
no, yeah, no. On that front, I did. He was a really good replacement. I just wish they could have given him another persona, like I said, Bronze Tiger. Although it would have been so much another Batman rogue. I mean, a distant Batman rogue, but Bronze Tiger would have been really cool.
Yeah, he's a kind of a mainstay of the Suicide Squad too, if I'm not
Yeah,
mistaken.
yeah,
Ron Steiger's in there quite a bit,
yeah.
as well as Deadshot and
Yeah, sure.
and Harley and Boomerang. Boomerang, it kind of sucks that we didn't get to see him ever. That's when he's part of the Rogues Gallery, Flash's Rogues, and they're some of the most second to Batman and Spider-Man's Rogues. I think Flash is right there. Has one of the most well-known Rogues Gallery.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Outside
Captain
of Spider-Man and
Cold, Heat
Batman.
Wave, Mirror Master,
Yeah,
Weather Wizard. Yeah.
Boomerang as well. So, but it sucks that we never got to see him go up against the Flash. Besides that split 5 second piece that we saw in
Yeah, and
first Suicide Squad.
that's because they didn't even film together. That was
Yeah,
edited together to.
true.
So yeah, no, that would have been cool to have him in some form of in the new Flash movie
Yeah,
somehow.
but in the movie, in the comic book, so I'm saying there's some precedent to it because in the comics, I know that. I mean, I'm sure it's been reset, maybe with the new 52 or before that, I would have you, but Captain Boomerang has died, and then
Oh yeah,
his son has taken up the mantle to be the second Captain Boomerang.
it
So
was.
I guess we could see that, come to fruition still.
I think it was during Identity Crisis, or that the original Captain Boomerang died and his son took over.
Yeah,
Bigger Harkness. Yeah, yeah, no, I agree. I mean, but we don't know. Did they say is his name Digger in this one? I don't remember.
I think so. I mean, she called him Boomer, but I think it
Boomer,
was.
yeah.
I think we hear his original name in the first Suicide Squad
Right.
movie.
Okay.
Not everybody, when to doing the introduction.
Yeah, yeah. Well,
Waller's
see, I would have loved to have lasted longer. It feels like these guys just showed up for shooting one day and then okay, that's enough.
Yeah,
What?
exactly. Well, man, I think we said it. We both really thoroughly enjoyed this movie. I do hope, and there have that whatever is going to happen between Warner Brothers and the DC Extended Universe, I hope this movie doesn't quell too much of the enthusiasm. And what I mean by that is that the perceived failure of it. I mean, because the headlines are saying, as much as you and I loved it, and I hope that it was the COVID thing, there still are kind of sidestepping the COVID thing and saying that maybe there was just not a lot of, they didn't know that there was what they're saying. The trades are saying that perhaps it wasn't marketed properly. A lot of people were relying on the name of James Gunn, and outside of our circle, the genre circle, maybe
Right.
James Gunn he's not a Spielberg or a Christopher Nolan. You know
No.
what I mean? That's not going to draw it by just his name alone. You know what I mean? Outside the people who know that he did the Guardians of the Galaxy movies and stuff like that. So there's just lots of different reasons besides COVID that people are saying, and then perceived failure. Even though it's hard for me to swallow that a movie that makes $751 million on a Suicide Squad movie that's not a well-known IP property out there, is perceived as a failure somehow, which is
Right.
what the first one was. It didn't do great critically. Man, $750 million for Suicide Squad. I think that's a pretty good chunk of money. You
Oh
know
yeah.
what I mean? So the fact that that was perceived as a failure, and now with this, I just don't know if we'll see. I know James Gunn had big ideas and wanted to continue with
I
Suicide Squad
want to
3 or other
say,
spinoffs, but we'll see what happens.
yeah, I do see a Suicide Squad 3. I mean, and they're going forward. I mean, I thought what I read, there was more projects going on.
There are, but that was before the opening weekend came
Yeah, well, I mean,
out.
Peacemaker's still gonna
That's
go
already
forward,
said and done.
you
They've already
know.
finished. I think they've even finished filming that. That debuts in
Yeah,
January.
no, they still, I want to say they have a maybe a good storyline within Ratcatcher 2, her and King Shark, they
Yeah,
really bonded. I mean, and I don't see this being the last outing of Harley Quinn. Maybe this garnered some kind of interest back into her. I mean, because this version of Harley was way different from the Birds of Prey movie one. You can right off the bat, you can tell
right.
it was a she had a different attitude.
It's kind of we've kind of had a Harley trilogy. Through her introduction to the first Suicide Squad and Birds of Prey, and now this. I mean, she's had her kind of trilogy, so to speak. She's
Right.
been different. We've called her different stages of her life. So, anyway, man, I think that's it. I mean, I don't know what else. We both loved it. I thought it was great, and like I said, I do hope it continues on. I'm hoping that this box office doesn't call too much of the
No,
enthusiasm.
I'm gonna watch it again. It's on HBO Max till September 5th before it goes exclusively at theaters. And then it'll come back like Wonder Woman did. Wonder Woman 84 is already back on HBO Max
Yeah,
after they took it out and let it run. So I believe once they do that, and people who have not caught up with it, again, if COVID is still not so strong an issue, which I doubt, they'll get some money that way, at the theaters.
we can hope, my friend.
I
I
hope,
hope because
because I
I would
mean,
like to see it.
this
I
movie
just,
did breathe a little life into it. I mean, into the DC, genre.
yeah,
Because I mean, the next movie we're getting is what, the Batman with Robert Pattinson.
yes,
Oh,
the
and
DC universe,
that's
correct?
next year, and that's a totally different universe. This is not even part of any of this storyline. But then
Right.
again, we're coming back to Aquaman 2 and then the Flash, which brings us
And
back.
Shazam 2 and Black Adam. Oh, Black
Yeah,
Adam's
yeah,
next summer too.
yeah. Which brings us back into this still Snyderverse, if you want to call it that.
Right.
So I think we have not seen the last of this movie or any of the characters. There's got to be, I want to say, a Suicide Squad 3 or some other mission. I don't know. I mean, it's expendable, and as much as DC has with side characters, they can just
Yeah.
keep on making these movies with
Yeah.
B actors, or not B actors, rogues.
Villains, villains. Yeah.
Yeah.
B-Rogues. Yeah. Well,
So
we can only hope, pray, my friend, that they do keep hope, that they keep on pumping them out. Because, like you said, there's some good stuff. We got the Batgirl on HBO Max as well. So who knows, man? Maybe we'll see what happens. Maybe they'll
right,
look on there, different variations of different stories and different theaters and on these streaming services. We'll see.
right,
Well, my friend, I think we said it all. But that was
yeah,
it, guys. If you haven't seen Suicide Squad, check it out in theaters if you feel comfortable with that. If not, HBO Max. It's definitely a fantastic film. You can enjoy it. You don't even need to see the first one to
no,
really enjoy the
you
second one.
don't.
I've been telling my friends who haven't
Yeah,
haven't
I
seen the
forgot to
first one, you
mention
don't
that
need to.
you don't have to have
Yeah,
seen the first one to really know
yeah,
this.
not at all.
If you know who Harley
Right.
Quinn is, you don't need to know anything else before this. You don't even need to know Birds of Prey.
Indeed.
So,
Indeed. Well,
but
guys, Listen, thank you very much for checking us out. As always, please let us know your comments, what you think about it. If you guys love the movie, if you hated it, let us know. Also, let us know about any other topics you want us to talk or discuss. We'll be happy to do that and interact with you guys. Make sure you follow Comic Collectors Guild on Facebook, on Instagram, Twitter, and also check out our show. You can always check out our show in all the different areas, wherever you like to listen to your favorite YouTube shows. That's where we will be.
Yep.
LT, did I leave anything out?
No, man. We look forward to seeing y'all next week.
Indeed.
Different geek topic of the week. Hopefully, I really wanted to break out all my action figures to show, but I already put them up there. I put them away, so it's okay. Next time.
We'll have to kick them off with that next time, then, my friend.
Yeah.
For
All right,
sure.
brother. No, I appreciate it, man. We'll see everyone here next week.
Indeed, guys. Take care.
Later.